Wonderful Wednesday morning and welcome you all for today's webinar. The need for more startups to succeed and many to be created has never been so high. Today you will have insights on business startup, what not to do, and factors that are most often missed by startup founders from Mr. Shyam Sekar, founder and chief mentor of Startup Experts and founder creator of Vox Media Tech. Get to know him better through this short 2-minute AV. Here we go.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen and start the conversation this point forward. Sekar 2012. This was a pic that was taken in the Harvard Business School when I did an executive management program. So you can see me fifth from the right, standing at the front row. Post the session, I was guiding a couple of brands, couple of entities in terms of business growth strategy and stuff like that. So that triggered a point. Why not we will try and support many other companies back in India. So that's when I came back and then started up the firm Startup Experts back in 2013. So it's been 8 long years. So now it's wonderful. Thanks to the technology, we are all online, and I'm sure we are all in different locations, different cities, different states, and welcome you all again. Now, when I look at startup, we all know about the success stories that we have been listening to. A lot of poster boys, we call it as, right? And a number of entities are getting into unicorn, right? Right from, let's say this year, it started with the CRED, the Rahul Dravid's had, the CRED became more popular right after that. The Misho, the Pharmacy, the ChargeBees, Zeta, Moglix, Urban Company, Digit, ShareChat, and all of these companies have made it to the unicorn club. And when you look at going back last year, then you had this Zerodha, you had this Razorpay, Cars24, Daily Hunt, and First Cry, and a number of other companies. I think we had about 14 companies this year. And then the previous year it was 11. Who touched a unicorn. So when I say unicorn, it's $1 billion valued company. Okay, when $1 billion is basically a 7,000 plus 7,500 crores approximately. That's the value of the organization we are talking about. So we have been hearing about a lot of success stories. All of you, I'm sure, are familiar with most of these names, if not everything. So with that, I actually wanted to trigger some thought, right? And I wanted to ask you this question. Most of you are probably have just started a startup or thinking of starting a startup. Why do you actually want to start the startup? So I have posted this question right in your screen, and you will be able to actually answer it. I would like every one of you to just punch in your answers right here. Why do you want to start a startup? Okay, there are 4 options. Make more money. I want to pursue my passion. I lost a job, so probably I want to try entrepreneurship, or I want to be my own boss. I don't like to be on time and things like that, so I want to do work at my own pace. So these are some of the choices. So please try poll in whatever applies the best. Sometimes couple of choices will apply. More than 2 choices, more than 1 choice might apply, but pick up the choice that best applies to your business. Okay, all right, that's fine. So if I look at the majority, 2/3 of you have actually answered pursue my passion. I wanted to pursue my passion, so that's why there's entrepreneurship. And of course, followed by be my own boss. I wanted to, just run my own firm the way how it is to be run and not to be dictated by somebody else. And of course, some followed by make more money. Okay, so good. Thanks for answering that. But I will reveal, you will be able to understand why I asked this question and then connect the dots as I keep moving forward. All right. So coming back. Okay. So what do you see in this screen? Whatever you see, whatever you think, whatever you visualize, just type it out in the chat box. Whatever you see, whatever you think, whatever comes to your mind. Okay. Awesome. Yes, you got it right. It looks like it is calm, it's collected, it is just going sailing over there. You might probably wonder, should I be a duck? Right? Should I be a duck? Just no pressure, no stress, just be around and while away. Right? Doesn't it strike you, all of you? Okay, do we want to be this like? Ladies and gentlemen, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are going to become an entrepreneur, you are already a duck. I'll tell you why. Just look at this. You see all of this. This is what, when you become an entrepreneur or when you are already an entrepreneur, others are seeing you. This guy is doing wonderful. But trust me, underneath, the duck actually is pedaling so much, maybe few hundred strokes a minute to stay afloat in the water. Nobody sees that. Okay. So this is the kind of troubles, the challenges, and the fun, whatever you call it as, is happening underneath, which others may not be able to notice. And this is the life of an entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And we all know typically what is the success ratio of a startup, right? You have been moving on, and then the fall can happen anytime. It can happen instantly there, it can happen a little while, it can happen much later towards the end. Very few cross the line, very few cross the bridge, right? And yes, most of you would have already known, yes, you are absolutely right. 9 out of 10 startups fail. They don't take off. When I say they don't take off, it moves over a period of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. But beyond the three to 5 year horizon, 9 out of 10 startups actually fumble. They fold up. Right? So I'm sure you are asking this question. Why do startups fail? I mean, what's wrong? Why are so many companies failing? We are all seeing these unicorns and companies who have made it very big. Yes, it is inspiring, it is motivating for all of us entrepreneurs to start a startup. But understand why it fails before I'm going to tell you how to actually build a startup right. It is good to understand what not to do and why startups do fail. So in my experience over the last 7-8 years of interactions with the hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs, startup founders, fellow mentors, I have observed a few critical points that are coming out as some of the top reasons why the startups actually fail. Number one, I have seen that there is no product market fit. This is a product that is probably not needed in the market. Let me tell you a story. I have said this in a few conferences in quite a few states before. Might be there in the YouTube, but I don't mind saying it once again because not everybody might be familiar with the story. A few years ago, I received a call saying, Mr. Shyam, I'm referred to by so-and-so, and he said, you will help me build my startup. So I would like to take your consultation. I said, fantastic, great. And what do you do? Then in next 10 minutes, he started to explain me about his product. This is what it does. This is the functionality. This is a feature, and all that he was talking about. I said, fantastic, great. So tell me, how can I help you? I wanted to build this startup. I want to grow this big. Nice. My first question, can you tell me, Mr. Who will be the target customers? Who do you think this can be sold to? And he instantly replied, sir, that is what I want you to find. I took a pause. I was wondering, what should I answer? Then I asked him, okay, can you tell me how long have you been spending in building this product? He said, close to about 2 years. And how much money did you spend? About 40 lakhs plus. I was just about to tell you, all of you right here, that if this question has been posted right at the start, he wouldn't have spent, the gentleman wouldn't have spent 40 lakhs and then more preciously the 2 years of the startup life. This is one of the primary reasons, and this is just a one-off case I just highlighted. But then there are a number of cases I have been seeing through. There is no need, there is no requirement, there is absolutely no way it can fit into the market. The product market fit doesn't exist. Then there are other factors as well, right? In terms of not able to raise the funding on time. May not be in the same order of the importance, but I'm just telling you, okay, if you might just run out of cash, you probably underestimated, you probably didn't manage the way how the inflow and outflow is going to be. You just fold up instantaneously. Not good marketing. Even good products, good services need marketing. Trust me, you will need to reach out to customers. Otherwise, people will not know. If you fold a diamond, put it in a piece of tissue, and then keep it in your showcase, nobody will know about it. It will never get sold. It may be the best of the diamonds in the world. But unless until people know, unless until you market it right, unless until you do the right things to reach out to your customers to know about your wonderful product or service, it's not going to take off. And not doing it right is also a big challenge. Besides, you also have other reasons in terms of right team. When I say the right team, not having the right co-founders, not having the right core team to actually scale up your startup. All of these reasons do form some of the major factors that most of these startups fail. If you address these 3-4 challenges, friends, let me tell you, enough number of startups can be successful. Okay, the percentages can significantly go high, and we have the potential to do that. The reason for this session is only to ensure that you all understand the basics and the fundamentals and take the first step towards doing your startup right. The very first thing is the mindset. Anything that you create, you develop, you build, whether it's a building, whether it's an empire, twice it is created, one in the mind, one in reality. Likewise, an entrepreneur needs to have the right mindset to ensure that the entity gets created right. For that, you need to ask questions. How to do my product differently? How to deliver my service differently? Where can I improve? What can I improve? This has to be in your mind constantly, consistently. If you are trying to become an entrepreneur, or if you're already an entrepreneur, you should ask enough questions consistently through the life. Affirmation. You will need to affirm yourself that, yes, I can do that. I will get it done. You will have challenges. Today morning, when we started to test, we normally test 15 minutes before, 20 minutes before. We don't want to leave anything to chance. But when you test it, we realized that the link is not working. We can't go back to Zoom and ask why it's happening. We don't know what's happening. So, yes, this is not the first webinar anyways. We have conducted before. And yes, so what's the next thing to do? Yes, we will need to make sure that we will have everybody onboarded. Yes, we might probably have missed quite a few today, and we will take care of it separately. But then, nevertheless, immediately the plan of action should be put in to say that, yes, the team has been put on job instantly to send it manually to all of you, the links. And that's the reason for this delayed start. You need to overcome challenges. You will need to somehow get to the, we will do it. Somehow I will get it done. We need to grow. We need to build. That's the affirmation you all should have. This is a term I like. You all will know about post-mortem. Okay. Where is post-mortem done? Don't tell me hospital. It is done on the dead bodies. It's no use. You just get to figure out what has happened. I call it as pre-mortem because the entity is dead, then making an analysis is like a post-mortem. It's not going to bring it to life. A pre-mortem, I call it as. You need to make sure that what possibly can go wrong, what can I do differently, if this is not done, what can be the consequence of this. All of this need to be analyzed. So do a pre-mortem for your startup, for your small business, and bouncing with others. Don't hesitate to bounce your thoughts, your ideas with others, because otherwise you will not be able to get the other brains into the picture. Most often I'll say, Shyam, I'm hesitant to bounce the idea because they may steal away my idea and run with it. I said they can steal your idea even after your launch. So it's always good to bounce. Of course, I'm not saying that you bounce off with everybody else, Tom, Dick, and Harry, and put an open source social post and say, hey, tell me what it is. It's going to be even more murkier and more confusing. You will neither be able to take step forward nor backward because you don't know who's eligible to even comment on that. So find out who is competent, who can give you right thoughts, right suggestions, who's interested in you. So bounce it off, find it out, and then start to build your entity step by step. It doesn't matter whether you're just about to start. It doesn't matter you're already running a business. I think this is something constantly you have to bring in. That's when the bouncing with others also has to happen with the people who you think are right, and people, right advisors need to be part of this forum. So think like an entrepreneur. The second I want to touch about is the entrepreneurship process. Ladies and gentlemen, there are three-step process that you need to be very clear about whenever you start an entity. Number one, identify the idea. You need to identify an idea, identify an opportunity from that idea. Validate your idea. Whether is it worthwhile? Like I asked the question, not to build the product and find out who my customer is. I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that either. Right? Validate before even you launch your product, launch your service, or start spending all your money, energy into it. Right? Validate it. The next step is most critical, business model. Create the business model before you actually run this entity and then start off into the marketplace. So these are the three-step process. I'm going to explain you each of these quickly, one after the other. I do get a lot of calls saying, Mr. Shyam, I have some fantastic idea. I said, great. What do you want me to do? I want you to help. Yes, I can help you. Yes, as a mentor, as a business advisor. So how can I help you? Tell me a little more. No, before that, can we sign an NDA? Ladies and gentlemen, if I start signing NDAs by hearing ideas, my room is going to be filled with NDA documents and nothing else. Because every one of us have an idea today. There are a billion ideas plus in the marketplace today. There is no dearth of ideas. It is about whether the ideas can be monetized, whether the ideas can be pursued with passion and built it. That is something which only you will have. Don't disclose if it is technology or if it's a patent. It can lead to a patent. So don't even discuss with anybody else. File a patent, then you start to disclose. This is what I have done. This is patented. This is waiting for patent approval. Now I'm okay to disclose it. So all I'm saying is there is no dearth of ideas. The world is full of ideas. I am listening to ideas from not only the IITs, which is basically the colleges. I'm also getting ideas from school children. I have been a jury for school children startup initiatives. Excellent thoughts, brilliant thoughts. At that age, ninth grade, 10th grade, they are coming out with brilliant ideas. Sometimes I wonder, are they in school or in college, or are they, come out of college? Ideas are plenty. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is, this is what most of us, when we think of an idea, is. So now, can you tell me, what do you see here? What is this that you are actually seeing in this picture? Though it doesn't have a great clarity, but I'm sure you are able to understand what I'm trying to say. What do you see? What is this? Can you just type it in the box? Okay, somebody says road. Somebody said a nice word just before that. Yeah. So what do you actually see? What do you actually notice? This is what? Fantastic. Path, road, fantastic. Most of you are coming with, okay, initial strong, later wavery. Okay, it's a different perspective. See, nothing is wrong. There's no right or wrong answer here. Okay, initial strong, later wavery. Absolutely, most of you nailed the right word. It's a mirage. Okay, it's a mirage. It looks like there's water out there. It's all water there right after this. And when you go there, you will never be able to see one. Our idea is always like that. We think it's fantastic, the best in the world, stuff like that. Maybe it is fantastic, I'm not saying, but initially understand that there is a mirage. You need to make sure that you go closer and ensure that it is not a mirage, it is really a water, or the vice versa. Okay, so make sure that it is just not something that that you think it is there and not something else. Okay, importantly, opportunity mirage, I call it as. Now, we talked about an idea, then we talked about opportunity. What is an opportunity? Because there are many ideas, and among the ideas, we need to ensure that there is an opportunity that we need to focus and build our startup on. So what is an opportunity? So take these 4 points. This is exactly like a coach. This is what I do in a workshop, but I'm giving you in a nutshell, in a crisp way, so that every one of you can actually increase your success factor significantly. Number one, an opportunity should be attractive. You don't want to say, okay, this probably can address only 5 people, 10 people, 5,000 people and stuff. It should be attractive, it should be sizable. It should have a good enough market, whether it's a B2B, B2C product, service, solutions, whatever it is. It should be attractive. Next one, it should be timely. You should do it on time. Do you know what? Which one was the world's first online video platform? Of course, due to paucity of time, I'm not jumping in detail. YouTube was not the first ones. Okay, there were platforms before streaming live sports back in 90s. They have raised millions of dollars in funding, and they folded up. By 2000 types, companies folded up. Then, circa 2004, YouTube came in, and 2005 it became, part of Google. For $1.65 billion, it was bought. It's all about time. You need to time it right. Third, it should be durable. You are not looking at an opportunity which starts today and stops tomorrow. You need to look at something which is durable, which is sustainable over a period of time. Again, I don't say that if it is a short-term opportunity to, let's say, make a sanitizers for the next 6 months, 1 year, it's okay. You can still go ahead. It's a short-term opportunity. But understand it's a short-term opportunity, and then you jump into the business. Otherwise, if you're looking at a long-term, next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, look at whether it is durable. And finally, very, very important point, it should create value, ladies and gentlemen. Your startup, your small business, whatever you're trying to create, has to deliver value to the customers. This is what I call it as an opportunity. It should have these 4 dimensions. Otherwise, if one dimension is not well, then you need to seriously reconsider whether you should pursue this opportunity or not. Now you can ask me, okay, that's fine, but tell me, how do I even identify an opportunity? What are the techniques? I'm clueless. I just want to start a company, but I have no idea how to start a company, or what do I do? How to identify? What kind of idea to pick? The first one, very easy, solve problems. The world is full of problems. The country has a lot of problems. Your place has a lot of problems. Society has a lot of problems. All these problems are challenges, and all these challenges can actually give way to a startup. So by solving problems one by one, you'll be able to create problems. Want an example? Go back about 15 odd years. How we used to travel. We book a travel rental car, and you hire it for a 4 hours, 8 hours package. But you just have to go there and come. That's it. Why do you want to book the car the whole day? Then came the fast tracks, NTLs, city taxis, or whatever it is, right? Point to point. Yes, you pay to get picked up from point A, get dropped at point B. It's all the big problem. It is a welcome move by all of us. It's all the problem, right? Next one, keep observing the trends in the marketplace. What's happening? What's happening in the socials? What's happening in the economy? Where are the industries heading to? What kind of disruption is actually happening? Find out, observe trends. The way the digital transactions are happening has never been visualized in the past. Over the last 1 or 2 years, the digital transactions are phenomenal. Back in those days, probably about 25 years, 23, 24 years ago, I think. Yeah, I had my first credit card. One of those few in the country to have a credit card, proud credit card. So we used to go and just swipe it just for the fun of taking the money from ATM, right? So from that, we have come a long way. The disruptions have happened multiple times across. Observe the trends and find out. Even food industry is a fantastic industry to even look at. Food, textile, clothing, education, fintech, social commerce, social media, sauce, pass, name it. Find out what fits your strength, observe the trend, and see whether you can create an entity, find a challenge, and solve a problem. Okay, so everything has to go together. The third one, you can also look at identifying gaps. It is not like you need to create an end-to-end solution. It is okay, you can just address a gap. Yes, there was a hotel, a restaurant to take food, but if you can't go there, what to do? Then came Zoop, the Swiggy, the Zomatos of the world. You can order and just get it delivered. All of us has done that. Now, there is another gap. Okay, food gets ordered, but what about I have left my mobile charger at home, I have left my important document at home, so it has to be brought back. So what do? Came to the Dunzo. So you can get it delivered there. So these are gaps in the market. Ladies and gentlemen, you can always identify and find out what can actually fit you. That's a key point that you need to consider. What fits you, whether you can deliver, you can build it, you have the vision, you have the advisors to actually support and build it up. And there are no dearth of ideas, no dearth of opportunities, just that you just need to focus on these fundamentals to ensure that your startup is built right. And when you do that, you will have multiple opportunities in front of you, and you will need to pick up the best of the opportunity, the biggest of the opportunity, because you are anyway risking it. You're going to spend your time, energy, and money into it. So better you focus on the biggest opportunity, because you can actually strike it very well, very big, right? So that's my first suggestion. So we have identified the first step. The second step is what? Do you remember? Do you recall what the second step is? Yeah, validation. Whether this idea should be pursued or not. So how do I even validate it? There are so many techniques to validate it. I'm just going to give you two simple, pointers. I call it as validation basics. The fundamental scratching the surface, we call it as, right? Just scratch the surface, you'll find out whether it can be validated or not. Number one, do they have this problem? It's like an opportunity mirage. Is it also a mirage? You think it's a problem, or is it really a problem? You need to find that out. You can do through multiple ways. You can do surveys, you can take online feedback, questionnaire. There are so many ways to actually find out. There was one gentleman in the north of India who wanted to do run a startup, and then said, yes, I have been thinking over it. I have been building this startup for the last 7-8 months. Now I need your help to actually find out and actually get it rolled. Then over the validation, it was found that there is no substance in the idea at all for the last 9 months that was actually put in to build the startup at all. The entire post the feedback, post the statistics and data that was collated, clearly it was visualized that there is no opportunity, but then the model can be completely reinvented, pivoted upside down, and you can still create an opportunity from the inputs received, and that created a way for another interesting opportunity to pursue. The second, yes, they have a problem, I have a great solution, but will they pay for it? Will they pay for it? So most often customers say, yeah, fantastic, this is my problem, you build a product, you give me a service, excellent. But then you should also find out, yeah, how much does it cost? Will they actually pay for this one? You don't want a situation that you create all that and say, oh, I didn't think that this is going to cost me so high. Probably it's free. So it is all about planning. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. All of you know the famous thing. And when I say planning, planning is absolutely required whenever you do an execution. This is what I call it as a business model execution. You need to create a business model, right? Business model canvas, I call it as, it's a workshop by itself, right? It takes a day almost to even create a business model, session with you all. But I can quickly give you some pointers. It starts right from your customers, right? It starts right from the problem or the solution. It also talks about the unique value proposition for the product, for the customers. It also talks about the path to market. How do you actually carry this? the cost, the revenue, and all of these factors. There are 9 blocks to it. So create a business model. Instead of a business plan, I would suggest do a business model. You can just finish it off in one chart, in one sheet, in one board. Just put in the 9 columns and identify all of it. You will get one single view before you can actually figure out, yes, should it be now put into action, each and every block, how do I actually get it done, right? You do a Gantt chart or whatever it is. So business model execution is absolutely important, and for that planning is very, very critical, right? I also talked about this team. The very first, one of the reasons for startups to fail, the team includes founders, people who are starting this entity, and also the core team, people who are actually forming the next in line, right? So it is very difficult for a startup to attract good talent. So I always say hire for the attitude and not for the skill. Skill can be learned, skill can be always practiced, and they will be able to make it up. But if you don't have the attitude, it's not going to work. Take people, and especially when you're running a startup, you will need to hire people who have right attitude, who have the vision, who believe in you. And likewise, the founders need to go well together to ensure that the vision is aligned. They are strategically aligned. Differences of opinion always can be there. Yes, it is there even in house. So obviously it is going to be there outside as well. But the point here is that you are working for a bigger cause, bigger mission. So the alignment, team alignment has to be absolutely fine. Everybody should know their responsibilities, accountability. That's critical. So find out that your co-founders will fit to the long-term journey or not. I also touched upon this. Marketing, extremely important. It is required to do branding for your product, branding for your company, so that you can get customers. Gone are those days when the large companies have large budgets, lakhs and crores of money to be spent in television, papers, and all of these media, radios, whatever you call it as. Today, you have a social media platform. It gives you absolutely a level playing field. Whether it's a very large corporate or you are just starting with an idea, you have the same tool, same technology. Ladies and gentlemen, use the socials, use the online space, digital platform, which was never there before. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, never anybody would have imagined that we could have done this so well. Today, it can happen much faster, so much quick. Focus on the branding. Today, tomorrow, I will also release a video in the Startup Xperts channel about branding. I'm highlighting some important points as to how you should look at branding, how startups should look at branding, how small and medium business should look at branding. Look at that. It is absolutely important you do it, and do through the right marketing way. And of course, what is required? All of us need what? Money. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this question. Please answer this. Very important. How many of you wish to raise funding for your startup? Or when do you want to raise funding for your startup? Please answer. You can say, without the funding, I am not going to start. Or you can say, I will start now, but at some time later in time, I might need funds. Running a startup, I'm already running it for some time and I need funding now. So let me tell you, the maximum has come. We'll start now, which means I am going to do it on my own. Later, I might need funds, followed equally by without funding, I will not start. I'm already running a startup. I need the funding now. Okay. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a perspective in this kind of a scenario. All right. It's all about funding and understanding the investor's mindset. It is always good to start through your own funds. How do you raise funds at the early stage? It's called bootstrapping, right? You strap it by yourself. You bootstrap, you do it by yourself. You accumulate some funds, or you have some friend to invest in things like that. You just bootstrap and create something, right? Normally, we call it as the fund is raised with 3 Fs. Again, F funding starts with the F. The funding starts with 3 Fs. Do you know what it is? What 3F is? Can somebody tell me? If somebody knows, can somebody type it over there? What is 3F? What is 3F? No worries. It is first F stands for friends. So you go and approach your friend and say, hey, can I get some money? Can you invest? Can you give me some money? Good. Friends, family, good. Second is family. Yes, you are going to ask your parents, you are going to ask your brother, sister, or your uncle, whatever it is. So friends, family, and there is another F. Okay, on a lighter side, it's called friends, family, and fools. Okay, so somehow you do the bootstrapping exercise to build your startup, but then at some point in time, it can generate revenues, and yes, you may not probably need a funding. Not every startup actually needs a funding. You can just be on your own. There are many companies that I've seen who actually don't need a funding, but many of the startups which can actually grow exponential, and strategic reasons, if you want to look at it, you will need to build this kind of a stuff. So which means you should also understand, if somebody is investing, why will they invest? What is there in the investor's mind? So when I say that, please look at the steps that are involved right here. Okay, in doing this. The first one is pre-seed or a seed. Okay. So when you start, somebody with an idea can actually give you a pre-seed funding. Okay, so just do this, validate, and come back. Or okay, just do a prototype. When I say prototype, it's a minimum viable product, MVP, as we call it in the startup world. So you build that kind of a stuff, and then say, okay, I have this. So it can be through your friends, your seed investor, we call it as somebody who has some extra money, they can actually put it on you. And also sometimes you can be associated with some colleges or some grants, some networks, which can actually give you this pre-seed money or a seed money, we call it as. It's like a seed. You are seeding at a base level. It can actually start to grow. So sometimes the seed will die at that stage itself. Sometimes it can grow. Now assume that you are growing, right? You will need angel funding at early stage. So you have built some product, you have had some basic traction. I say, okay, fine, I think I have a product market fit. So there will be angel funding. We call it as angels. Angels like a fairy, right? So you have angels, people with the money who believe in your idea, and then who thinks that yes, with this funding in the company, the idea can actually, the idea can actually grow well, and they can multiply their money with an investment that is being put in. So they are angel funding that comes in at an early stage. Then the early stage to scale up, when you actually start building customers, build revenue, good traction, and you're building it up, building momentum, the angel funding can be more. Bigger angel funding can actually come in. And also early stage VC is venture capital, also can actually come in to invest in your startups. Okay. And when you actually scale up, you have venture capital funds also, as well as the private equity. That's when you call it a series A, B, C, D, whatever you want it as. Okay. And every company's vision is to go with an IPO, initial public offering, right? To go public at some point in time. So this is typically the route, the startups and the investments. This is how it is synced at a high level. Okay, I'm not going detail because it's an ocean by itself, but I think it gives you a perspective as to what to look at, who to look at it. So people with some extra money, extra cash, there are plenty of them in our country, across the world. But you just have to find a way to actually reach them. And if they believe in your idea, believe in your concept, believe in your passion, yes, you can do it, then they will be able to invest in your entity at any point in time. But I also wanted to give you a caution. Don't only depend upon the angel fund to start your product or a concept, because many a times it may not take off at all. And you realize 3-4 years later, the same idea has been already built and made it very big, and you have been sleeping on it. You will need to take a risk if you believe, because if you don't take risk, the investors may not be willing to take risk on your project. So it both ways. You can also get loans. You can apply to banks and get loans too. So there are multiple ways to do it. So it is always advisable for the early times, till the time you just show the product market fit. That's when the confidence gets built. The angel investors will be more than comfortable to look at your entity from a different perspective and say, yes, I think it has got some opportunity. I think we can invest now and we can multiply our money as well as build value to the startup as well. So it's a win-win both sides. Okay. I also told you 9 out of 10 startups fail, but please see the bottom ones. What do you know? 80% of mentored businesses succeed. So having a good mentor on board is very important for every startup or small and medium business, for sure. It can be a technology mentor, finance mentor, operation mentor, domain mentor, marketing mentor, business mentor, process mentor, whatever you will need, whatever you think you miss or you think you will need to get those advisory, who will come with a vision, their experience and expertise will be unmatched. You will definitely get value. But go with the right mentors who can understand your startups with passion and then build it up for you. Okay? This is very important, right? We all say practice makes a man perfect. All of us have read it in school. Famous quote: I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. You are bound to make mistakes. Mistakes are common. I will make mistakes. You will make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. But let's not do fundamental mistakes. We will keep learning. Every mistake is a learning opportunity. So there is no failure. It's not like I've opened my company, I've shut down, I'm a failure. No, you are not a failure. You are one among a million or one among 10,000 people who have the guts to start a company and then come out. And you have learned how not to do. So next time you will be able to do it better. So it's about practice. It's about rigorous routine you follow. Get your basics, fundamentals right, and keep moving forward. At some point in time, you will certainly emerge successful. So entrepreneurship, I showed you the picture of the duck peddling, is living a few years of your life like most people won't, because it's going to be very stressful, very, very difficult. So that you can spend the rest of your life, most people can't. Right? That's the beauty of entrepreneurship. Now, coming back towards the end, I actually wanted to give you what is the value of 1%. 1% is too tiny. What is the value of 1%? We all have seen a lot of WhatsApp forwards, right? 0.99 into 365, 1 to the power of 365, 1.01 to the power of 365. We have seen the mathematical numbers, but that's okay. Beyond that, the 1% makes a big difference. You know why? All of us know at what temperature the water boils, right? But what happens at 99 degrees? It is still hotting, it is heating up. At 100, what happens? The water generates steam. The steam can power a locomotive, a turbine of such tremendous magnitude that what if the 1% is not there, it's never going to happen. But the extra 1% is going to make it extremely powerful that your startup can ever be able to, take it forward. So with that, thanks so much, and for listening nicely on this today's morning session. And yes, I am Shyam, and I have displayed the number, my email. You can always stay in touch just in case you need any help or support. And my colleague can actually send you a quick link just in case if you need to take any discussion or anything subsequently. But right now, I would love to have your questions and answers. So please, it's Q&A time. So I would love to answer as many questions as I can. So please type it on the chat box, and I will try to see how best I can answer each and every one of those questions possible. Yes, Q&A time. You can send your questions in the chat box. Okay, so the first question, okay, I'm going to take up questions one by one. So I'm reading out and then keep pouring in your questions. How to take our ideas to the next level? Okay, so as I told you, identifying the ideas. So if you found that there's an opportunity for sure, that yes, this has potential to actually make it big, then you will need to validate your idea to make sure that yes, this idea is just not a mirage. There is certainly a value and I need to create it. So it depends upon what kind of idea, how do you want to take it up. But technically, the next step will be to create a business model and find out whether you have all the puzzles filled. There are no gaps left out, right? No fundamentals that are missed out. So once you are ready with that, then you get into execution. When I say execution, create a prototype. Don't just create a company and start doing it. You can create it at any point in time, okay? But if you understand you want to make revenues right from day one, right? Then you float a company. It can be a proprietorship or a partnership or a private limited, whatever it is. But then test your product or idea with the customer, the so-called customer in code, who can actually test and give you a validation saying that yes, this is a great idea, great product that yes, you can do. So that's how you move forward step by step. And hello sir, hope you're fine. Yes, thank you. I had a business idea, but I don't have any money background. How can I money, get money to start my business. As I told you, the 3 Fs are the best way to do it. Okay. So find out from your close circles. Okay. It's very hard to say that nobody believes in your idea. That's going to be a challenge. So you need to talk to people who actually understands the value behind it, the opportunity behind it. Because if they invest and it's a big opportunity, they are actually going to make big money out of it. They are going to multiply their money at an early stage. So that is important. Two, if it's a fantastic idea, you will need to bounce off with some HNIs, high net worth individuals. So they will be able to understand and say, okay, fine, for this equity, I will need, I can give you so much money and do that. Number two, the third option, as I also I already highlighted, you can tie up with an incubator or accelerator who can give you some money as a seed fund, pre-seed fund or a seed fund, to ensure that you get the basic prototyping right, and then you are able to move step by step, one at a time. But it is better to start with your own funds to start with, to generate from your own savings and things like that, and start off. That's how it is done. If it's a very big idea, then probably you need to convince people that there's opportunity which is huge, and they need to pay for it. So friends, FFF, HNIs, incubators, accelerators, there are umpteen number of people around. So these are the best ways to do it. You can also do crowdsourcing. I don't know if it's allowed legal out here, but you just have to check with some of the legal experts to find it out. Great. How can you help me put down the idea into a proper business plan, pitch deck for investors? Yes, of course. We have been doing it regularly for so many businesses, so many ideas. There are people who just want to create a pitch deck. Yes, we can take it offline. You can message, and then we can definitely help you with that. And many of the pitches people prefer, like they don't have it. You just create a pitch deck, pitch it to investors. If they like it, they may actually fund you at an idea stage also. But having said that, not many ideas get funded at the very early stage. Okay, without any traction, without anything, unless until you have a background, they trust you, and you have the experience, you have the expertise, then probably yes, they may invest, right? But to answer your question, yes, we can help you put in a pitch deck. We can do that. I think one of the most important quality of an entrepreneur is resiliency. Would you agree? Absolutely. I call it as 3 Ps: passion, perseverance, and patience. You will need to be full of passion to believe till the last mile is reached. Perseverance. Perseverance also has to do resiliency, because you are going to get hit left, right, and center, but you will still move on and you will keep moving forward, right? And yeah, you will need to also have patience. I mean, some things will take some amount of time, so it doesn't matter. It depends upon your idea, your opportunity, and why will they actually wanted to invest in things like that. Okay, yeah, you can send the details and we can figure it out. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, I think it is still there. Something pouring in. Pitch deck. One of the most, okay. I am working on my new construction startups. The construction industry is vast area. Our targets are homeowners who are ready to construct their home independently. So this, in this case, how would you determine market size? Homeowners are your market size. So having said that, what kind of house you need to do segmentation? I would give. It's a different topic altogether, but I'll give you a brief insight on it. You will need a segment. Homeowners can build a house. If they already have a property, they can build a house for 20 lakhs. They can build a house for 50 lakhs. They can build for 2 crores, 5 crores. It's huge. Numbers are big. You need to understand who your target segment is. What kind of a profile will they fit in? What kind of behaviors will they display, demonstrate? And you should be able to reach out to them to tell, yes, I have something you can reach out to. And why will they look at you? So you need to create your positioning, create a differentiation, and make your voice heard to your potential customers and prospects. So you will be able to reach out to them with your credentials, with your pedigree, and say, yes, I can actually do this. I have the competency. And why are you good at? There are thousands of people right next to them, but why will they consider you? So you need to have a strong value proposition to ensure that why will they need to look at you. And besides, it's about segmenting your target customers as to who do you want to bring to your fold before you start into your action. Okay, so how about startup e-commerce in the area of supplying organic vegetable and fruits, cold press oils? There are n number of companies. Every street actually has the community gated community value. We are, there are people who are preparing organic, based items, whether it is oil or whether it is cleaners or all these things, right? It's plenty in the marketplace. So it's a hyper local, and you will need huge investments to actually do that, and it's crowded. So why will people buy from you? I said that clearly. You need to have a strong differentiation. There are 10,000 people already supplying. So are you going to be 10,001, or you're going to be very different? If you are different, why you are different, how you are different, why customers should buy from you? Unless until you have answered these questions, it's very difficult for you to step into this. I'm not saying don't do, but validate this very clearly before you, jump into doing something else. But as a small startup, you can always do that. Within your locality, within your area, you can share, and you can do through an organic mode. You can still do that. There are many homemakers that I know of who have tie-ups, and they are actually doing it. Supplying to close networks, WhatsApp groups, and things like that. But you're looking at a professional e-commerce. Yes, there is a space, but others are already offering like a big baskets or growers and stuff like that. So find out your positioning. How different are you? Why will people look at you? And then build a model, and then try to pivot it before you actually do that. Okay, great. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to share this link in the group. Okay, I think it's in the chat box. So if you need any support, help, if you don't have questions, but if you have questions later, yes, you can always click that form and answer. I've just sent it in the chat box. Okay, so you can. Yeah, how much equity to give to investors for seed funding? Nice. There's no one answer for that. It depends upon what is the value of your company, what's the value of your brand, what's the value of your product, what's the value of your entity. So it depends upon, let's say your value is 1 crore. Then if you want 10 lakhs, how much you want to dilute, how much money you need, how much value is a company. It depends upon all these factors. And let's say, assume your company is valued at 1 crore, and you want 20 lakhs. So obviously you will dilute 20%. So you will give 20% equity to them, right? But if your value is probably only 25 lakhs, then they give you 5 lakhs. You need 5 lakhs to do prototyping and stuff like that. Then they get 20% straight. So that's how it is calculated. Great. How to understand people's mindset. For example, if I start fish shop, each customer will buy different varieties. So if I start selling fish, I'll miss other customer. But if I start selling all varieties, then I'll end up in a loss. So how do you understand customers? Yeah, that's exactly the point. So what do you want to sell? Which customer do you want to cater to? Right? You can't do everything else. So what is that you want to sell? See, this is something which is core to your own business. Who do you want to sell to? Why do you want to sell to? What will they buy? Will it make will the unit economics make sense? Meaning you are investing some time, money, energy, cost into the whole initiative, and you are selling something, you're making some profits. So will that be justifiable to do that? How will you scale up? How will you build it up from this point onwards? So I think that is something which you will need to do right at the start itself, before even you start selling anything else, whether it is online or a physical shop that you are looking at. So or if you are looking at further answers to it, you can experiment. You can try different things, different days, different weeks. I think it's as I said, the rubber hits the road. That's when you will know whether it is happening or not. So you will need to physically probably do that and find out what is the taste, what's the behavior, and things like that, and figure it out. You can try to do an online survey. You can match these two data points and find out how it works, what works best, and then you can take a decision call accordingly. Like, for example, large car manufacturers who have been building cars so many years, so many decades, right? The best of the practices, they will still drive the car on the road, test it for some time, find the pulse before they actually roll the car in the marketplace. So this is just like the automobile industry. Every business actually happens the same way. You will need to test, find out before you actually roll it fully. How to determine valuation of a startup at different stage? Yeah, good question. There are multiple methodologies to do it, and there are so many methods. I don't want to discuss that. It's an ocean by subject by itself. We will probably take a different session some other time. It's a good point. You should, with revenues and cash flows, be able to predict it. They do discounting cash flow methods. Which is very common today, right? Based upon your forecasting, what is that you are trying to build. But otherwise, trust me, it is a notional value at a very early stage. We don't know whether it's a 5 lakh startup, 1 lakh startup, 5 crore startup. Very difficult. If you're able to convince your investor that this is worth so much, then it is fantastic. Otherwise, it's very difficult to arrive at a very, very early stage, especially when you don't even have a traction. Okay. If you're able to forecast revenues, yes, it becomes little predictable to find out what could be the value for your company and things like that. So there's a methodology, there's a system. People need to spend time, energy in creating the valuation model. Like how I talked about business model, there are people who do valuation models who work along with me to ensure what is the value that you will need to project, showcase to your investors. End of the day, my friend, it is all about how the investors see the value and not how much value you see it. So it depends upon whether you want to sell dilute at that value or not. I hope I answered all your questions. If you still have any doubts, questions, please shoot. Maybe one last hour probably. I know we have overshot the time what we have planned, but I'm sure you might all have some takeaways and stuff like that. And we will also try to see whether we can push this into the YouTube and share it with those people who have not able to join earlier. All right. Any other questions? Anything else? I think something has come up. Can you advise us few risk-free ways to raise the risk-free funding for a startup company? Nice question. Okay, so maybe this is the last question, but I'll give you an interesting answer. There was a gentleman a few years ago who walked in and said, "Sir, I have 2 crores. Tell me where to invest." So I said, I can't tell you where to invest because you are going to build a startup. What is that you can do is something only you will be able to tell. I can help you build the startup. I can tell you whether you should do, you should not do, how to do it right, and things like that. But I can't tell you just do this. Then he says, "Sir, can you tell me something which doesn't have any risk?" So I said, "Do you know that fixed deposit that you put into the bank also has a risk? If the company closes down, let's say you invest 1 crore and it closes down, you know how much you will get." I said, "Please read that. Even that is not guaranteed. That is not safe, right? If you are looking at risk, you can't do business. If you are looking at risks, you can't cross the road because you may get hit by a car or a cycle or anything else, right? So business has risk. You will need to be smart enough to minimize your risk and increase your chances of success. That is what I'm trying to tell you all this while. Okay, we need to minimize the risks that we are getting into, uncover the dark areas as much as possible, and increase thereby the success quotient, success ratio. There's also another question which I've been asked on and off, and I love answering. Sir, if I engage you, does it mean my startup success is guaranteed? I said, I'm not a god to guarantee success, but I'm definitely going to help you increase your success quotient for sure. Okay, because we are not going to make fundamental mistakes, because we have seen so many failures, so many successes. What works, what doesn't work. What doesn't work, most of the times we'll know. What works, we probably may not know. And unless and until we try, we'll not be able to realize that. But it is ensuring that consciously use your logic, use your experience and expertise to ensure that wherever possible, keep reducing your risks, measure it, make progress, measure, make progress, keep taking actions so that you are able to move forward from time to time. It's all about startup is building a startup successfully. These are the basic mantras that you will need to follow, basic techniques and tactics you will need to adhere to, right? And I don't think any more questions are there. So wonderful. Once again, to all of you, thanks once again for being part of this interesting session on this Wednesday morning. And yes, for the rest of them, we will try to see whether we can have parts of these in the YouTube, or probably we'll have another session. But thanks once again, and happy startupping. Wish you all the very best and build it up. And I hope you are able to get some insights and some clarifications by being part of this last 1 hour plus session, startup webinar session. So if you will you invest in a startup provide mentorship? I'm not an investor, but I'm connected to a lot of investors, so to say. So maybe we'll keep asking from time to time that can you refer this company, this industry, this domain, this kind of background and things like that. So we can always look at, but that's a little too far away. There is no surety on that. But it is not about investments. It is about making sure you take the right steps and you have the right people on board who will be able to guide you and say, yes, this is something which you can actually build it up, or you cannot build it up, or this is where you need to do, and when you need to raise funds, when you should not raise funds. So many factors are to be considered, ladies and gentlemen. So happy to guide you guys in case if you need any support, any help after the session. There's a chat box. I'm going to, okay, yeah, sure, thanks. So with this, I would like to end the session, and Have a great time, have a great day, and a wonderful 2021 and beyond. And stay safe. Take care. Bye. Thanks again.